with us, the President of the United States announcing through the last week now that John Ratcliffe, the congressman, will be the next director of national intelligence, or at least the president is nominating him for that role. What do you make of that?
How times change. As you will recall, he was floated in the past,
yes,
and he was rejected by the chairman of the committee, Chairman Burr from North Carolina, a dicey Republican. All of a sudden, John Ratcliffe is acceptable to Chairman Burr. Now, I wonder why that is. Could it have anything to do with the fact that they are frightened, absolutely frightened, of the continued presence of U.S. Ambassador to Germany, Rick Grenell, in that post as Director of National Intelligence, given the fact that Ambassador Grenell is a serious bureaucratic infighter who knows how to fire people. I think they've accepted John Ratcliffe because they have no choice, because the president will continue to name acting directors that Mr. Burr may not like. You'll notice that Senator Warner's name was not even mentioned in the announcement that Burr had approved of the nomination. I also think that Burr and Warner are very, very concerned about where the Durham probe is going in looking into activities of those two senators with various lawyers and non-lawyers, including journalists, in the run-up to the leaking of the Carter Page affidavit. So we shall see. Ratcliffe will be confirmed.
Now, this is a very interesting assessment, as usual, from Joe diGenova. But the idea here is Rick Grenell is competent in his own right. He's very good at the jobs that he's assigned to, the latest being the acting director of national intelligence. And his job is to clean house in an intelligence community that desperately needs it. But at the same time, he's creating such discomfort that any alternative, including a guy who was once unacceptable, John Ratcliffe, is considered an improvement. Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying. And here's the point. The office of the Director of National Intelligence has been a disaster since its inception. It was an unnecessary level and layer of bureaucracy that was created by Congress to supervise the intelligence community. It was ridiculous, unnecessary, and it led to the farcical hoax about the Russians, the misuse of intelligence estimates, the famous National Intelligence Assessment that Barack Obama so famously ordered, which was a total fraud. So the issue here is this is a renegade agency at this point, along with several other agencies, including the FBI and certain career elements inside the Department of Justice. This is the beginning of a massive house cleaning. Trump needs a second term, and then the deep state is going to really get some guillotines.
Joe, what do you make of the argument from Democrats and some on the left that Ratcliffe is unqualified for this post?
That, of course, is another trope that the Democrats and the left trot out whenever they don't like somebody. They were perfectly happy when the first director of national intelligence, John Negroponte, who had no intelligence experience whatsoever, he was a very well-suited and able ambassador. But wasn't it interesting that they didn't choose an intelligence figure to lead the Office of the Director of National Intelligence when they first set it up? They chose a diplomat. Well, John Ratcliffe is a congressional diplomat, and any objections to his skills are absolutely ludicrous. Yeah. By the way, the notion that you have to be some sort of person steeped in intelligence all of your life, look what we got when we got that with James Clapper and James Brennan.
That's right.
Brennan, pardon me, I'll take people that don't know as much as they do.
That's right. In fact, institutionalism itself is a bias that we should be trying to work against, and that definitely happens.
Well put, Vince. Well put.
With John Ratcliffe. Thank you. So let's also talk about some of the other big legal stories. Don McGahn can defy congressional subpoenas, according to a federal appeals court this weekend. That is a big win for the Trump administration.
It is indeed. Free at last, says Don in his private practice today. This was a stunning rebuke to the House of Representatives and the United States District Court judge who wrote an absolutely silly opinion, an Obama appointee. The court ruled 2-1 that Don McGahn has immunity because he has executive privilege, absolute privilege, testimonial privilege, consultative privilege. In fact, the court ruled that it was such a political question between the House and the White House that it was basically a non-justiciable political question that they were not qualified to resolve. Now, I'm not sure I would have gone that far, but I like it, given who's president, because the truth is Don McGahn was never going to testify. He was White House counsel, one of the most senior consultants to the President of the United States. There was no crime being investigated by anybody at the time his testimony was sought. The impeachment proceeding was not properly initiated by Nancy Pelosi. So the House really was ultimately going to lose this in the Supreme Court. And they're probably going to appeal and continue to flagellate. I mean, it's just that the House has become an embarrassment.
And if I'm right, Joe, at the time that the House was trying to get McGahn to actually come in for testimony, there was a negotiation process between the White House and Congress where there were a lot of concessions made that the House just refused to give anything to the White House in order to make them more comfortable with having him testify.
That is exactly correct. Very, very well put, Amber. People forget that this White House, remember, during the Mueller investigation, the House gave them everything except direct testimony from the President of the United States. They got millions of documents. They got testimony from people around the President in the Mueller investigation. They just never got testimony from the President, which, of course, was their ultimate goal, was to trap him into a perjury trap and then make that a recommendation for impeachment. No, the White House has been tremendously accommodating. But remember, the House Democrats, Pelosi, Schiff, Nader, were never interested in accommodation. In accommodation, they were interested in a battle. They wanted to accuse the president. They continue to do so to this day. Although I must say, Nancy Pelosi is keeping a pretty low profile these days.
Yeah, and pretty amazing developments. And with the president now unencumbered by those investigations and those pursuits, at least for the moment, he's definitely pursuing cleaning house all around the administration and getting some court victories in the process. Joe diGenova, we'll keep talking to you as that moves along. Thanks, Joe.